It's a dark and stormy night. It's Halloween, and if you want to know what I am the most scared of this Halloween, it's your terrible fitness habits. And I want to get into that. I want to talk about 5 of the fitness habits that you should probably break because they're scary to me. And if you don't want to scare me, then this will be an important one for you. So focus in, let's get into it. Jumbo. It's the Coach Zoe you know, and I am with What the Foss. It is the podcast that I do, talks about different questions that tend to come up in my life, and I want to try to explain them out to you if you feel like listening. So, what we're going to talk about today is the 5 fitness habits that I tend to see just from time to time that scare me a bit, and I wanted to address them here today just to get them off my chest and to vent a little bit on them, but also in case any of these habits tend to line up with you and your workout journey, I want to make sure that you're able to replace these habits with something that's a little bit better, a little bit more worth your time. So we're going to talk about the 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The count, it's Halloween time, whatever. We're going to talk about 5 of them. The first one that we're going to talk about is doing the same workout routine all the time. Now, this is one, it's not really one that's bad per se, it's just not really towards your benefit. Because I want you to think about if you're trying to better yourself, if you're trying to get over some of these hurdles in your life, get stronger, get leaner, get more fit, whatever your specific goal is, I want you to think about if you're doing the exact same thing the entire time. Now, yes, that would possibly for some people feel great because you get to know exactly what you're doing, you know what you're going to come up against, you know how you're going to feel, and you feel like when you do that you get the sweat that you need and everything's good and you've done your workout. Well, the problem is that your body adapts. And what I mean by that is that if you keep feeding your body the exact same thing, throwing the exact same exercises with it at the exact same intensity, same reps every single day, it's going to adapt to that. And when it does adapt to that, it's not really going to change too much after a certain point. You're basically just going to get up to a point and then you're just going to plateau. Now, does this mean you have to change your workout every single day and you have to do that kind of muscle confusion that a lot of people talk about in some areas of training? Not exactly. It's probably just best to change it up maybe every 3 or 4 weeks. Take a 4-week kind of stint at it, or what we would call a microcycle, and go with that microcycle, just focusing on some type of training for 4 weeks or some type of workouts for 4 weeks. Then after that, see how you feel, see what you can change, and then actually make that change. Change those things up. I promise you'll thank me later for it because you won't be wasting your time. Now, going off the bit of workouts, we want to talk about if you're doing your workouts, this is the second one of these bad fitness habits. Don't just do abs. I'll say that again. Don't just do abs. Now, there's a ton of people out there who don't like exercising. What's wrong with you? I'm kidding. No. It's more the fact that sometimes people feel like they want to spot reduce. Now, this is a habit that should have died many, many years ago, but it unfortunately hasn't. And there's people who they think, if you just want abs, the only thing that you should do is just doing crunches endlessly for the rest of eternity. But I can tell you that that's scary to me if you're just trying to spot reduce in one area. You're not really going to get the function that you need. It's not really how you actually get towards the goals of leaning down that certain area, right? If I'm trying to get abs, I'm not going to constantly just crunch my way out of it and think my abs are just going to kind of pop up through the surface and that everything's going to be fine. It goes off the same bit of doing the same workout all the time. You keep doing the same crunches, you do that same thing, you don't change anything else, guess what? Nothing's going to change. So what you want to do instead is work on stuff that's total body workouts. If you feel like that you're not getting to the point that you want to, whether it's getting leaner, getting stronger, being able to show more definition, I gotta be honest with you, part of that comes with eating, which I'll get into a bit more in a sec. But the other part comes with you're trying to get the best kind of calorie burn that you can during your workout. Now, it doesn't mean that on my watch, oh, I only burned 400 calories during this. It was a terrible workout. Not really that. There's a lot more detail that goes into it. However, the key takeaway point is that you just want to be able to do total body workouts, working on everything, because that's how your body functions the best. If you do more compound exercises, if you Google those, that'll give you the most bang for your buck, and that'll help you out with working on that leaning down process. The third bit, if you talk about people who are trying to lean down, they tend to always want to do this. And that third thing that kind of scares me is always relying on supplements or fad diets. Now, this is a super common one. I see it all the time. I used to be a victim of it, and it's something that really bothers me, because doing just supplements or trying to rely on fad diets, it really just is a band-aid over the issue. Most of the time when people are taking in supplements, they're like, oh, I want this protein, these BCAAs, I need some of this supplement for my energy, for trying to recover, and there's so many different types of recovery shakes and proteins. I'm not saying those are bad by nature. However, if you're just doing those, or you're just bouncing around from fad diets, cutting things out, thinking that that'll be the thing that finally leans you down, it's not going to be the case. It's more that the eating habits that you have, it should be eating certain things that might be a bit higher in calories, but possibly not very like dense or nutritious type foods. Just having those in moderation. I'm not saying cut those off completely. I'm not saying you should definitely cut out carbs or completely cut out fats, whatever the fad diet is that you're on. I'm saying more that there's moderation to it. It is kind of a learning process for your own body, and that working on that part, not working on something that's a diet. A diet is basically set up to be something that is only for an individual small period of time, that once you cut off from it, there's this big urge to want to take on a bunch of these calories again. So make sure focusing in on working on the food part of it first, having some of those more delicious things in moderation, because I still do as well. I wouldn't recommend my clients to cut off from everything completely. It's all about the right amounts for those. Working on the food items, not just trying to cover it up with just taking protein powder, just taking all of these extra supplements, or just going on some crash diet. The fourth one that really scares me as a strength and conditioning coach is your ego lifting on every single exercise. I don't know how you do it, but for most people, and maybe it's not you, if it's not you, good job, I'm proud. But if this is you, then ego lifting basically encompasses you trying to put too much weight onto the dumbbells, too much weight for barbells, whatever you're using, and doing these exercises where you don't use good form, you don't really get any range that would be for any athletic or strength or fitness ability, and you're just doing it because you feel like you're pushing a lot more weight than you actually are, whether it's squats, deadlifts, bench press, bicep curls. You see it all the time. You'll see those people in the gym who are hip thrusting bicep curls, and you don't need to hip thrust for bicep curls. Just focus on your biceps, and that'll be your best bet. Oh man, that one irks me. But the way to get around this is you need to just work on working through a certain range. Okay, so if you're doing a squat, for example, right? At least going down to 90 degrees is going to be your best bet for most people. Some people who are in certain types of sports and athletics, they need to go a little bit shorter range for some of their exercises, and if that's their thing, that's fine. But for you personally, making sure you don't put too much weight on the bar, and starting from a lower weight, making sure you can get the full range with proper form, then working your way up will do you loads more than just trying to pack all that weight on just for your pride's sake. This is a small side note, anybody who tells me like what weight they like bench or squat, which I could care less. I care more about how is your balance, are your joints moving properly, are you able to do all the things that you want to do? If that's the case, awesome. Like, that's the goals that I want for you. There's different measurable goals in that, but that's another side tangent for another day. Anybody who tells me their number and they're like, oh yeah, bro, I lift 400 pounds and I could squat 700 pounds. I'm like, cool. I at least take about 25 to 35% off of whatever number they give me, because I know when conversations start out that way, it's usually from an ego lifting mindset, not the bit of actual good proper form on exercises. So just remember that when you are lifting the gym, start a bit lower weight and then work your way up. That's all you gotta do. The fifth and final one is not recovering from exercise. There's always this big kind of mindset, sometimes when you're in fitness or even work situations, especially in the US, where it's go, go, go all the time, every single day, and that's not gonna benefit you at all. Yes, it's good to work hard, but it's also good to be smart about your time. You need to make sure whatever time you're putting in, you get the most out of that time. So what does that mean? It means if you're in the gym or you're working out by yourself, staying off your phone, actually focusing on the thing that you're doing, making sure that you're doing the right amount of weight and with the best form you can at the right intensity. So maximizing that time that's there, but also the time outside of it, making sure you recover fully. You almost want to kind of miss the gym, which for some people doesn't sound right, because they don't like exercise too much, but you almost want to kind of like crave fitness if you're doing the right amount. And along with this is also your sleep. The amount of people I hear sometimes where they go, oh yeah, I go to sleep at 2 a.m. because I'm working so hard through the night, and then I get up at 4:30 or 5 a.m. to go do my exercise in the day and get this early start. It's not really cool if you're waking up early, but also going to sleep super late. It's not cool to get 2.5, 3 hours of sleep. I've done way better in a lot of my athletic efforts when I'm getting my 7, 8 hours of sleep. For me personally, yours might be 9, yours might be 6.5, but somewhere in that kind of like 6 to 10 range, at least somewhere in there. Please do not be shorter than that, I beg you. So remember, going over these 5, don't do the same workout routine. Don't just do ab workouts. Make sure you're not relying on supplements or fad diets. Ego lifting isn't for you, I promise. And make sure that you are recovering from your exercise. These are the 5 kind of fitness habits that scare me, and I'm grateful that you're here. If you have any questions for me at all, make sure you message me at the Coach So You Know or Foss Movement Training on most social media sites. Otherwise, take chances, make mistakes, and don't scare me too much. Talk to you soon.